So let's talk some Matt Stafford. I had no idea really that this is such a hot button issue and that people are so divided on this. To me, my logic was simply, hey, you upgraded at the most important position. Good for you. It's a good move. Like that. That's just my simple brain thinking about it. There's some people who are seemingly saying, no, Matt Stafford, this is a Super Bowl team. It's going to be incredible. I think there's some people saying, well, you gave up too much for it because Goff wasn't bad. I also think if you're a Matt Stafford hater, you're probably saying things along the line of, well, none of these throws were super high degree of difficulty. Sure, Stafford hit all of them and didn't make any mistakes and does have great arm talent, but that's kind of all he's doing is he's running the Sean McVay offense. My counter to that would be, listen, most quarterbacks who are currently in the Hall of Fame are in the Hall of Fame because they ran an offense without making mistakes, made all the throws you're supposed to make, and had great arm talent. Like, that's why most Hall of Famers are Hall of Famers. And Matt Stafford, he legit is a fringe Hall of Famer right now. I would think he probably needs, he needs two things. It's a combination of MVPs and Super Bowls. That's kind of how I feel about it, and I feel about quarterbacks in general. He wins 2 Super Bowls, he's in. He wins 2 MVPs, he's in. Wins an MVP in a Super Bowl, and I think he's in. And if he wins, only one of those, I think he's probably out. That's probably where I feel about Matt Stafford. But anyways, let's not talk about him as a career. Let's talk about him and what he did in this Chicago Bears game. So like something like this, I think you could say that this is something that Stafford brings to the table that Goff maybe doesn't. There wasn't a lot of this, but there was a little bit of this, and I think it's worth mentioning. So this is going to be a cover zero blitz. It's a bit of a disguise, so there's no way of knowing at first that that's what it's going to be, and that's kind of something that's given Jared Goff trouble over the years. Isn't the pre-snap reads, it's more so when there's a disguise, how good of his post-snap reads can he really have, and a lot of times he screwed up. I mean, I think about in that Super Bowl, a big reason why, Bill Belichick was able to really dominate the Rams offense and Jared Goff himself was because a lot of, disguises, and basically he said, we're going to have one safety deep, play man, and have Dante Hightower sort of do whatever he wants and, mix things up, and that really gave Goff a lot of trouble in that game, and Goff threw a pick 6 against cover zero, or not a pick 6, but he threw a pick to Stephon Gilmore against cover zero, which is this concept. But when Stafford takes the snap, he simply just, finds a hot route, makes a quick throw, picks up some yards right there. Like, that's a very simple thing to do, but that's what Stafford can do, is he's just a bit more of a veteran. He makes the smarter reads, whereas Goff maybe wouldn't notice that in time and wouldn't have gotten those yards. And then there was stuff like this where, everyone's saying, well, how much does Stafford bring to the table that Goff didn't? Well, how about the flip side? How much does the Rams offense bring to the table that the Lions offense didn't? That's, to me, really exciting. It's on this play, it's quarters coverage, and you see a route running over the middle. Sometimes this can actually work out really well, because the issue is you would think, okay, quarters coverage, this is going to work out perfectly for the Bears. They have so many players deep, but sometimes that can actually kind of be an issue. If you don't understand your assignment exactly, that can create some, mistakes in coverage, which can allow guys to get open. And so right when this play starts, watch Van Jefferson on this play and watch him kind of, he fakes a little bit as though he's going towards the sideline, and that's all he needed. I mean, the Bears safety really bit hard on that. So there's an opening right here. Both safeties are aware of Jefferson. What's going to be, crazy is that, okay, yes, there is an opening right here. It was well done. A lot of times I think safeties this far down the field aren't that concerned about getting burned deep at this point, because, Stafford's on his own 25-yard line. But look at this throw travel. I mean, about 55 yards down the field. Looks like maybe like 53 or so down the field, plus a little bit over as well. And it's just a perfectly accurate throw right there. That's just an incredible play by Matt Stafford. It doesn't look that insane because he did hit an open guy, but it's not that easy to hit an open guy that far down the field. It truly isn't. There was also this play, which was just, straight up bad coverage by the Bears, quite frankly. It was just a mistake here. There was a bit of controversy with, I saw Dan Orlovsky kind of talked about how it's not a blown coverage. It was actually just a great play by Stafford, which it was kind of a weird argument to make. I think people got really mad at him, which that's something I hate about the discourse, is that if someone says something people disagree with, it's all, look at this moron. To me, clearly, when I saw this, I think it's more of a definition issue. I think that what he was saying is that he doesn't believe it to be someone just didn't understand their assignment on a play. He just thought that it was like a really good, someone got fooled on the specific play. Some people refer to both as blown coverages. Some people only refer to when someone legitimately just doesn't even know what coverage they're in as a blown coverage. So it's just a definitions thing, and I think he's even walked it back since then. So I don't really care about that stuff, but I figured I should mention it because it was all over my timeline on Twitter. Anyways, so the way this works is that it's a cover 6. So you have the safety who is currently on the offense's right, so towards the bottom of the screen. He's basically covering half the field, and then on the other half of the field, you have 2 defenders there. So it's basically like a quarters coverage on one half of the field and cover 2 on the other half of the field. And for the Rams, they have 3 defenders running deep, so logically you think, hey, there's, it's even numbers down the field, right? 3 receivers running deep and 3 defenders who are in charge of covering deep. The issue with this is that in the cover 6 coverage, the Bears just aren't going to fully understand all of their assignments on this play. So watch, right when this play starts. So you are going to notice that, a couple things. For one thing, look at the top of the screen. Look at the safety who I, kind of showing you where his eyes are pointed. He's looking towards Stafford. And, Stafford, to his credit, is doing a great job at helping sell as though he's going to throw in that direction, which kind of causes that safety to move in. I think he just didn't realize that there are 2 defenders who are running deep. To me, that's not really on him too much. I think that's, it all depends on what your defense is. Teams run this differently, and while personally I would like him to pick up that there's someone on the other side of the field, okay, that doesn't happen. But then whose assignment is this? You have 2 Chicago defenders who are still in the area. One is in charge of covering the middle area of the field, but he sees that, there's a defender running deep, and so he's keeping pace with him. That is Marquis Christian on this play. So he, at this point, could keep pace with Cooper Kupp, the deep receiver, or he could kind of, to me, what I would say he probably should do is instead take care of the, receiver who isn't running as deep and make sure, the safety, or in this case, the safety then goes over and covers Cooper Kupp. I think the safety should cover Cooper Kupp. That's what I would recommend. If that's not what he wants to do, okay, I don't know your defense, so if that's the way you guys want to run it, then fine. You can do it that way if you want to. But clearly, they just didn't know whose assignment it was on this play. This is not a route concept they expected to have happen. Because watch Christian just sort of peel up and cover nobody. The safety covered the shallower receiver, and Cooper Kupp is wide open for a touchdown. So no one knew whose assignment it was. They really had 4 guys eventually down the field to cover 3 LA players, and they ended up double covering 2 of them and leaving one wide open. I mean, over 15 yards away from everybody else. And just how funny it looks seeing 3 defenders all basically run in unison behind him is pretty funny as well. So again, does that sort of help Stafford's stats a little bit? Sure, but I would also argue that this is going to happen throughout the course of the season, especially when you're playing bad defenses like I think the Bears defense is. You're going to see teams be able to sort of get some big plays, and you're going to see Matt Stafford be able to get some big plays against bad defenses because McVay can make that happen. And then you have really just simple stuff like this. This is what really most of what we're going to see from Stafford, and it's good. This is a simple concept, but it's one the Rams like to run a lot. So against zone coverage, it's a cover 3 zone. You simply have a receiver run a go route, you have a tight end kind of run a route behind him, and you have an underneath jet sweep motion with a receiver there. So for Chicago, you only have 2 players in that area and 3 guys to cover. This can be an issue. You basically, for Matt Stafford, you hit wherever, whoever isn't getting covered, that's the guy you hit. And so, look, the play action also helps move the linebacker in, as he's the guy who could potentially try and get into this play to cover up the tight end, but he had to move in from the play action. So guys are going to get open in this system, and Stafford is not going to miss open guys. Watch. I mean, this is just going to be a perfect throw, and they pick up a big gain on this one. Get the ball all the way inside the 30. That's just good stuff from Matt Stafford right there, and it's not too difficult, but he can do that consistently, and he's not going to make the mistakes that Jared Goff would make, several times a season. He's just not going to do that. Even stuff like this, where it's simple. It's going to be man coverage. You have Cooper Kupp, who's running a route. And I would say that this is kind of maybe the one concern you could have if you want to with the Rams. It's like, oh, well, how will they do against man coverage? They're typically a team that likes to play against zone. Honestly, they'll be completely fine because they have receivers who can beat man coverage, and they have Stafford, who's very accurate. And watch, so Stafford takes a snap. He is going to throw this. He's going to hit Cooper Kupp. It's an easy throw for him to make, and Cooper Kupp does a great job after the catch. All of that stuff is very good. But still, that's what Stafford can do. And again, he can run the offense at a high level while not making the mistakes, and that has a ton of value in football. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about Stafford's performance. It's what I think about Stafford, period. Really, this video wasn't just about his performance, but about him as a player as a whole. There's a lot to really like about Stafford. He can do this stuff at a high level, and sort of like I said, you do the plays that Goff couldn't make. Because again, that's something that I think I heard some people saying, well, Goff couldn't make these throws. No, he could. Goff had a big arm. Goff could make those throws. But Stafford can make all the throws that Goff can make without the mistakes, and that's just so huge. Let's be honest. If instead of drafting Jared Goff, the Rams somehow, traded for Matt Stafford back then, Sean McVay has a Super Bowl ring. That's how it is. So I think that definitely the Rams are a tough team. They're a team to beat, quite frankly. To me, I do have the Rams as the second best team in the NFC behind Tampa Bay, and I don't think it's that far of a difference between those two teams. That's where I had it preseason, and I'm sticking with that because they look good. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.